just love that song, John.
Do you know what? I'm so immersed right now because I've never been on someone's podcast where you actually play the jingle to the person at the same time. It's brilliant.
You know what?
That saves. Welcome to Problem Busters. So, John, it's been a few days between drinks, and it's good to be back. And I don't know how many years we've been going, but it's taken you this long to convince me that video is a much better way to get in touch with people as well as audio. So welcome to the audio visual experience. And with us today, we've got Graham Cullis coming live and direct from Bali. And Graham is an artist and I would say a mental health awareness campaigner. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. And if you told me it was going to be visual, I would have done my makeup. You know, I've got paint all over me.
Amazing. And what is that? Let's get started with a bit about you.
My name is Graham. I'm an artist and a fairly new artist. Actually, I only discovered that I could paint 3 years ago in the pandemic, and that kind of blows people's minds, and it blows my mind as well. Every time I do a painting, I'm like, what? Did I do that? So I moved to Bali because I just kept coming here over the last 12 years or so, and just fell in love with the place and tried to think how I could make it sustainable. And then I found a job online, which didn't end the best, but it was the way of me getting out here. And that was during that beautiful year of 2020, where everything hit the fan, we would say. And my job kind of was very stressful. I went through a lot of problems myself and mentally, but at the same time I went on a date with a Russian art teacher called Tatiana, and she told me to come to her art class, and that's where all the magic happened. I literally went to her class thinking I kind of have to do this, but I kind of want to at the same time. And in the class it sort of turned out that I was rather good at painting, and people were quite impressed in the class, and so was the girl that I was dating. And then I got friend zoned and she became my art teacher.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll carry on. So basically then every day after that, I just painted. I just honed my craft, and I was going through a bit of a tough time myself mentally with the pandemic and my job becoming stressful, and I kind of knew that I needed to come home, and so I just took a sabbatical and just painted and then realized that the healing benefits of it. And at the same time I started picking my camera up again because my Instagram started to blow up a little bit more. People were like, what the hell is this? And my numbers started climbing because obviously I had something visual to show, and then I started talking honestly and openly about how my mental health was at that time and how this was affecting it, and it basically sent me on a journey of wellness. And I just wanted to give that to other people and help them discover it themselves. And in the last skip forward 3 years, I've done quite a lot.
Yeah, that's wicked. That's pretty cool. One thing that jumped out is like you said, learning, finding out that you could actually paint during the pandemic. 3 years ago, you learned, you realized that so what was it? Is from the art class, was it other people looking at your stuff and say, hold on a second? Was it that kind of moment?
Yeah. So what happened was we got in the class, and I was told beforehand what we were going to be painting, a painting of a painting. So that's a good way to learn brushstroke techniques and stuff. So when you're looking at another person's painting, you're kind of learning from what they've done. So that's how she done it for us. So we all chose what we wanted to paint, and I picked a picture of a waterfall. Which I didn't think it would be very difficult. And everyone's like, why did you choose that? It's going to be really hard. And then with a few bits of guidance from Tatiana, basically she sort of pushed my confidence to actually get paint on the brush and on the canvas. Then flow kicked in. And then, I look at the painting now and I'm like, yeah, it's all right. But I feel like I'm a very different artist now. But I painted it pretty much identical to the artists who I was copying, and they were like, what is that about? All the people in the class were like, this is crazy. You've never touched a brush before. I'm like, no, not since school. And then I went to another class after that and painted this eye. And that's when at the moment I was like, wow, actually there's something hint in this here. And yeah, and Tatiana said, yeah, you need to go and buy all the tools immediately. So I did.
What a moment.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Nothing like finding out you have like a hidden talent, just like
I know.
What would you say to people who've been wandering around their lives saying, I can't draw, I can't paint, but they've just got this feeling that they'd like to give it a try?
I mean, everyone can, like, and everyone can pick up a paintbrush and put some paint on a canvas, and you just need to do it to find out what your style is and where you go with it. And like, you never try, you never know. But like, I know some people that say that they can't, and then they go to these, like, what they call sip and paint, like cocktail evenings, where you have an artist guiding them through, a little bit like Bob Ross. And at the end, they're like, just with a bit of guidance, they're like, wow, actually, I'm all right. And it's, like, you just, it's the confidence, really. It's just to go and do it, and the practice.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, right? The videography is like A class, I have to be honest.
Thank you.
Instant subscriber. I was watching quite a few, and I was like, oh, the one the one that kind of got me to subscribe was the Youth Art Connect.
Right.
I think you were interviewing the kids, and you were just like, oh, was it the interview egg?
Oh, the egg chair interviews.
Yeah, the egg chair interviews. That's actually
spinning them around.
Yeah, like the Big Brother chair. They just spin around, and then you're just like, oh, And I could see that they were quite confident, and and just a range of different kids and showing their pictures, and it was fantastic. So,
well, actually, do you know what? A couple of the parents who watched that video back came to me afterwards and said, look, I don't know what you did. Like, they'd never like this at home. Like, so yeah, I was like, that's nice. It's like a testament to the fact that an environment that is perfect for people, is a creative environment for some. So yeah, it's really nice. That was nice to get that feedback.
Yeah, it's good. And I'm just thinking, linking back to when you were saying about how you found out you have a talent. I wonder, do you see the same kind of yourself and the kids when they start drawing it or painting, and they're like, hold on a second, I can do this.
Yeah. Like, I remember one session, because I don't normally in the sessions actually get involved in actually instructing people. I'm the clown that's running around with the camera, just trying to get jokes out of people. But there was one autistic lady that came in our adult session who was just not having any of it. And then, she wouldn't try anything by herself. But then I literally did the whole Bob Ross thing with her. I sat with her and said, right, you're going to paint this. We did a seascape together, like with a cliff face and some waves. And she was so impressed with herself. And I was like, yeah, like, you can do it, you see. And then obviously, then I left her side again, and we tried to get her to do something by herself, and she wouldn't have it without not me not being there. But yeah, like, yeah, it's crazy to see like some talents come out, and we've seen some amazing talents come out through Youth Art Connect.
I know you say like you running around being the clown and all that, but I think it's like your energy is just really infectious. Because I saw the New York, is it New York, with the kind of cold
Club.
Therapy? Yes, New York
Dippers Club. Yeah,
New York Dippers Club. And there was a few people who showed up. I don't know if it was the first one or if it was one of the last ones, where a few showed up and they weren't going to get in the water, and then in the end they kind of like, all right, let's go. And you're like, yeah, you're really encouraging them, and they just sort of booked it into the sea. I was like, oh, that must be freezing.
Yeah. I think that like, having the camera there really helps people as well, because there's a lot of performers that come down to the beach and they're like, I don't want to do it. And then you're on the camera, you're like, come on, do it, like that. And then suddenly they're all right, and they run into the beach. But yeah,
so tell us about the Dippers, because a lot of folks won't have checked you out yet.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to go back to the backstory of that. So yeah, I like within the last few years of discovering my art and my passion for helping people find holistic ways of managing their mental health, like with Youth Art Connect, which was a charity that I set up for kids and now adults to do monthly classes. I say charity, it's a CIC, but we're not allowed to use the word charity because it's not a charity. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I set that up, and I've left that in the capable hands with Marie and Siobhan and Natalie, who are now the directors. I'm just silent director, and I go in and make some noise every now and then. But they're running the show, and hats off to them. Credit to all of them. They're doing such an amazing job over the last couple of years doing that. But yeah, so what I do is I plant seeds. So I go to a community, I have an idea, and then I'm like, right, let's run with it. And just to obviously give your listeners an idea of how I can afford to do that is because I have a Patreon as well. I was like, a lot of podcasters, or people that listen to podcasts would be aware of Patreon. If you're not, it's a subscription service which helps you become financially free to be able to do your projects as an artist. So yeah, I would go into a town being supported by my Patreon subscribers, and every now and then I paint a picture and it sells. And then, yeah, it gives me time and space. So yeah, when in between trips to Bali as well, I would go back to my parents' house as well. And then I would be painting in the garage, creating content. And then I also like to do cold water therapy, which is something I advocate for because it feels amazing. Loads of like health benefits, which are allegedly health benefits, but I've felt them firsthand and seen them firsthand. So I run it.
Tens of thousands of people all around the world.
Right.
To be jumping in the cold water unless it makes them feel good.
Exactly. Yeah. But like I was doing it like when it was before it started becoming this big thing. Like it was still quite a lot of people doing it, but like it's like it's huge. Loads of people are doing it. But I would be that village idiot who would like make a video of me jumping in the sea in the snow and then posting it to the community groups, and they're like, "What?" And one year no one did it, and then one year I made a piece of content which went viral. Like it was like, I wouldn't say viral, but semi-viral. It got like 20,000 views in like 4 days or whatever. But yeah, I did that on Facebook in my parents' village, and invited people to come along with me, listed the benefits of what it is, and said I'm going to be here every day until I go to Bali at 9:00 if anyone wants to join me. And then sure enough, like every day more and more people came, and now that is a fully running thing in my parents' community of Pevensey called the Pevensey Plungers. We named it Pevensey Plungers, and then like literally like they've got like 2,000 people in their Facebook group now, and they've got just probably about 100 solid members that go every day to the beach. Sometimes there's only like 10 people, 20 people, but they've got a good turnover of people, and it's just been amazing to see what it's done for the community. They've done loads, but from that little spark of a video, there's been an amazing amount of wellness and charity work, and people doing it for themselves and healing, people going on journeys, and it was just amazing to see. So I documented all that. And I did that by accident, I guess, because I made that bit of content and I didn't expect that to happen. New York Dippers Club came the next year after I came back from Bali, and I was in a little bit of a rut myself, actually. And that summer, as you do, you go dips and flows of your mental health, and I'm very aware of that. And that time I was a bit down in the dumps, and had a summer of just reflection and doing a lot of deep painting. Did a lot of good art, actually. It's funny that, isn't it? And then I got invited to go to New York.
Artist image.
Yeah, exactly. And I got invited to go to New York by my good friend Jess, and she was always trying to get me to go out to New York, and she bought me a ticket out there, and I went out to New York and stayed with her for a while. And there were some certain circumstances which meant I had to find another place to stay while I was out there, because I intended to be out there for 3 months just to get some inspiration and just have a chill. But then before I got there, I was like kind of thinking, do you know what? I'm going to Rockaway Beach, which is on the Atlantic, just underneath Manhattan. It's like a strip of land off Long Island. And it's a beautiful beach. It's a surf beach. So I was looking forward to surfing because I'm a keen surfer. And I thought, you know what? I reckon I could probably do this intentionally. So I went out there with all my art stuff, intending to paint, which I didn't pick up a brush once while I was out there because it became all about this thing. I went and made a YouTube video and did the same thing. I just shared that YouTube video and also shared it to community Facebook groups, and just said that I'm going to be here every day at 9:00. And then sure enough, more and more people came, and every day. And now it's the New York Dippers Club. We have merchandise. It got in the New York Times, and like, it was just, we've been on TV a few times, and a documentary team started following it. And it's just, it was a success. And yeah, so that's like another part of my legacy that I've left behind to help people and help communities. And of course, out of that, I got some people that subscribe to my Patreon. I've got some new art collectors, and it helps me carry on, you know. There we go.
Yeah.
I told you I'm a talker.
No, that's great. That's great. So while you're in New York, I also saw I've been like properly, you probably see I've been like stalking you on YouTube. Proper subscriber. I just been here watching.
Yes.
There was an incident where you were trying to help save a whale. Whale.
Yeah, I know. Oh, do you know what? It's so nice to have these questions.
That doesn't seem weird to me at all. I'm like,
yeah,
that's what
right.
people do on beaches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you go and feed them chips. You're on a chip, bro.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they were doing that in the Thames. There was like a whale, I think, in the Thames years ago, and people were throwing fish and chips. And everybody was like, "No, don't do that." Cool.
Right. So basically, yeah, I was on my way to go to a 9 o'clock dip. We'd been quite well established at that point because it was about a month or two into the whole journey. And it was getting flipping cold at that point as well. Like it was Baltic. And then I saw these people looking over the railings because it's a promenade, you know, you got this big, like long concrete path with railings, and then you got sand dunes in the ocean. So I looked over and I saw people, there was a commotion. Then I saw the tail flip and I was like, what? And then I saw these surfers in the water, all in wetsuits, like trying to push this whale. And it was a baby sperm whale. And I was like, right. And I had my camera and I was like, I've got to go and help. And it's going to be great content as well. But like, you know, like, but I wanted to help, you know, it's like, I just immediately had this emotional response because I love the ocean. I love animals and I love painting them. And I thought, we've got to get this thing out. And these guys are struggling. And I went out there, set my camera up, ran into the water, stripped off, and then just was in there for about half an hour, 40 minutes. The adrenaline was pumping. And normally when you do cold water therapy, you're in for 5 minutes, you know, especially at that time of year. And I just kept going and going. But do you know what? Like, it was almost like the whale didn't want to go because we definitely, or I can't say definitely, but I had one moment I was like, this whale is deep enough to be able to flick its tail and bugger off if it wants to. But it kept rolling towards us, you know. And I didn't realize until none of us realized because there was loads of commotion on the Facebook groups after that about like you should leave them alone when they're doing that because actually they're actually coming to beach themselves because they're sick. And we didn't know that. And it was after the what's it called when they chop them up? Autopsy. A special name. Yeah, it's like autopsy, but there's a special name for it. Oh, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, autopsy. And yeah, they realized it was sick, and it was actually coming to the end of its life, and it was just such a crazy moment. I remember just like being right next to the skin of this creature, and I could hear it. Its blowhole went off by my face. I saw its eye. I could feel its heartbeat, and it was such a connecting moment. And then we all had to sort of abandon ship eventually because it just wasn't going anywhere. And then the cavalry came in, tried to see what they could do. And then I didn't see the last moments, but it passed away. But before that, I got onto the beach and I was hypothermic. I was like, I couldn't move. I mean, I could move. I was moving. I was uncontrollably moving, but I just couldn't get my gloves on, but there were people around helping me. And then I realized actually that was really foolish what I did then. So I immediately, like when I made the content, I didn't want it to be a content about bragging about me helping save the whale. I wanted to actually just make this video about actually don't be stupid, because like I advocate for this cold water therapy. So it became an apology video, really. I don't want people to risk their lives. And I totally did at that point because I've never felt hypothermia before. But yeah, it took me out for a few days.
Because we've been cold water swimming quite a bit. And it's something that people talk about here along the coast, Brighton and so forth, that you can get in for about 7 or 8 minutes and then certain things start to happen. And apparently when you get out of the cold water and into the warm air, the body begins to circulate the blood again and you get like the second dip of of temperature.
Yeah.
But what did you feel? What was hypothermia like?
Hypothermia was literally like I felt dizzy, and the pain in my hands and extremities was unbearable. But I just, I was groggy, and I was emotional. I was really I was like in tears. Like, I eventually got on my bike. My friend helped me, and I cycled to a cafe, and I went into the cafe, and I just broke down emotionally. I just bawled my eyes out, and the lovely ladies at the cafe gave me a big mug of hot coffee and big bucket of water. And do you know what? If I didn't have my dry robe, I would have been in trouble. I have to and I know I'm sponsored by Trirobe, and they give me these amazing things to help you do sports like this. But it really does work. Like, you need the kit. But
Jon,
so
do you know what that is, Jon?
I think I saw it in a dry robe. I think I saw it in the video, because I think that I saw the branding on the back of one of your friends in the other video as well. But I saw he was in the cafe, and the buckets were underneath. I guess the dry robe is kind of like a poncho, I guess. But
That's right.
But and honestly, he was cradling the coffee and just shaking and just really emotional. And I know you said we joked about the content, but honestly, the concern on your face when you had the bike, when you were cycling and you saw the whale, it's kind of like, hold on, something's happening, someone needs help. And then and then that whole thing, like, just pure adrenaline. It was actually, I was actually kind of like, whoa. It was pretty intense. And then when the hypothermia hits in, like, you can actually see it progress, kind of like, okay, he's cold, and then everybody on the beach is trying to warm you up. You've got the robe on, and and people unlocking your bike with the paddle. You couldn't use your hands.
Right. Oh, do you know what? It's so funny, actually, because I forget that it's all captured, and I can't believe I was able to vlog at the same time. Because I think it's because I've been vlogging like consistently for 2 months. Like, it become like a third arm, I just record everything. But I can't believe I managed to capture that. And then even to get back to the cafe and set the camera up on me, pointing at me and while I'm suffering. I just felt like I needed
commitment.
Yeah, right.
But so many important messages in that, right? It's one thing to, there's that debate about should we have animals in zoos? Do they enjoy being in a zoo? No. Do people go in and see animals and make a connection and start to think about things they wouldn't have thought about otherwise, like conservation and the planet and the environment? Yes. There's a moment when in the water, there's a moment when a sea creature comes past, right? Like, you're at dawn surf, and there's a gannet that skims over the waves, or there's a turtle that swims past, or you get bumped by a dolphin and you think it's a shark. But in that moment, there's just this deep connection, right? So I haven't seen a whale beaching, and usually in Kiwiland, it's pilot whales, the little ones. But but just from what people talk about, it's just a deep sadness, like something's really wrong in the world, right?
Of course. And there was a lot of conspiracy as well. I'm not about certain things and productions that were going on. I think there was putting in electric lines around the area underwater. I don't want to say too much because I just vaguely remember it, because there was a lot of whales being beached at that time, and that was like one of 7 within like a month, I think. And people were like, what is going on here? And actually recently the whales have returned, but they're not beaching themselves. They've been just literally just offshore, just playing around and flipping their tails. And the New York Dippers Club have been getting some great content and dipping right next to them. So that's cool.
That's amazing. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I think in terms of, I don't think we as humans really understand the impact of a lot of the kind of engineering work or the kind of tech that we introduce into nature. And and sometimes there could be adverse effects that we don't really understand the links to, right? And there's a lot of that kind of different types of radar and sonar just disrupting what's going on. So it's always a kind of, not a gray area, but a weird subject where you can't really determine what the cause is, but something's there.
Well, can you imagine if you're you communicate through sonar? It's sonar, isn't it? That they communicate, and it's having like something that's noisy and electrical and like making loads of noise that we can't pick up must be like such a headache. And
yeah. I always think of it as something like, imagine if, you know, sound or vision wasn't some of our strongest senses, right? And somebody else doesn't really see, or another species doesn't really see the same that we do, and they've just introduced something in our environment and it's just constantly flashing us in and we're just, I can't see where I'm going.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And at this point, I think it's time for me to talk about my favorite English critter, the fox. Because we've just moved, and often sort of mid-afternoon, or you know, when it's twilight, this fox will just jump over the neighbour's fence and walk through ours and our garden, and then out the other side. And I kind of, some people are like, they dig up the garden or whatever, but I just love them. I just love them so much. I named a podcast after one, right? Old Fox. And I just, it feels a little bit like there's a bit of nature that's making it work. Us being here and us having houses and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Good on
you. Well, I thought about this as well on that kind of sense, is that like, actually I asked AI if they could do some calculations to see if basically, because in Bali there's loads of like it's Hindu culture, and there's loads of offerings on the floor and loads of animals survive of them. So I asked AI, I said, if you were to take the population of Bali and change the religion and they didn't give the offerings out, would there be a decline in birds? like I don't know, but I think AI basically told me to stop overthinking things.
Oh no. But it's good that you have a place to ask those questions though, which is kind of fun. And it will take your question serious as well, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm actually going to try and calculate this, and it's like, oh, hold on. Not enough data, sorry.
And it saves your mum as well. You know, Graham, it's 2:00 in the morning in England. Yeah, but just one more question, mum.
Yeah.
Because I totally do that to my parents even now.
Yeah. Cool. Well, my dad is like a walking AI. He's got like a wealth of knowledge, and it's like every now and then he'll just come out with a fact and be like, when did you learn that?
Cool. It's that dad knowledge, right? My dad's the same. He would something will be going wrong, or something. You just be, you know, pondering something, and you'll come up with a saying that hasn't been said in like 200 years, and you're like, hold on, what?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
So you're a dad now. Are you starting to get more wisdom?
He's got the dad humor. You're working on it.
What I've learned is that parents are winging it, right? We're all winging it.
Yes, we are.
When I look back, I'm like, oh, my dad was probably my age around when he had me, and I'm thinking, I have no idea what's going on. so yeah, it's
but it seems okay. Everybody's got their arms and legs.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's it. One of the things actually that has sort of changed as being more of a father, speaking to my dad now, is he is a bit more kind of emotionally in tune and kind of aware of kind of like mental health, which is a huge change from when I was, I guess, when I was younger, and you had the kind of stoic figure who was just kind of, just pretty kind of straightforwards and macho or whatnot. And then now, as he's gotten a bit older, and I guess how I've got older as well, and maybe just society changing, we're kind of more kind of talking and, saying, oh, I love you on the phone when we talk and stuff like that. And like, how are you? You phone me just randomly in the day. Just, how are you? How are you feeling? And all that stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. And then I end up doing the same thing. And that led me kind of, when I think to kind of your Karma Card project as well, like just having just a general talking point around mental health and being a bit more open. I was thinking it's a really, kind of novel idea. So could you just sort of expand and let our listeners know what that project is?
Yeah. So obviously, as we talked about before, I have a Patreon, and actually now subscription on my website, which I find is a lot easier. But I don't want people just to give me money to do what I do. I want to give them some value out of it as well. I want to give them something physical. Because also, given I'm an artist, I might as well give my art to them because it's going to help promote that as well. So it actually came to me in a dream, because when I first I thought, yeah, I'm going to do Patreon. I was like, I'll give them a print. I give everyone a print every month. And then I realized how unsustainable that'd be. I was like, okay, right. And then I print every 6 months, but actually then what print do I give them? And then I thought, then I remember I did some content. I interviewed an artist, and it was a girl called Davina. She paints people she paints girls naked to give them like body confidence. Like, it's like a nice little therapy thing she does for people. So I interviewed her, and yeah, she said that one thing to me was like really sort of hit home. It was this girl that she painted who had body conscious. She was body conscious because she had lots of racist slurs thrown at her when she was walking at school. And she's like, what? No, like, I can't believe it. She's a beautiful black woman. And like, I can't believe she has this thought about herself. And just because she's had a few throwaway comments at school and it's really affected her. And she's like, I was like, do you know what? She goes, words are powerful. Like, you know, like a 2-second moment can last a lifetime. And I was like, oh, that went into my head. And I just really thought about that. And then when and then I think, then I did like a poll on my Instagram, I remember, and I was like, so what do people do here? Like, because people were engaging in my content, so I thought, you know, I just asked my followers, and so what do you do for your own mental health? And people were like, oh, I like to paint, oh, I like to go jogging, and then someone said, oh, I like doing creative writing because you know, I think words are powerful, and that sort of like hit me in the head as well. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And then I went to bed that night and I dreamt about the karma cards, because what the karma cards are a way of connecting with people using words, and it being an emotional moment that is a 2-second thing. Like, you receive something through the door, it's nice to get post, you know, but like, if it's something that's like really intentionally like, I love you, I think you're amazing, or I know you're going through this stuff, I just wanted to write to you and write some kind words. Like, I was like, I woke up and I was, that's it. I can give them I can make greetings cards of my artworks, get 6 different designs, send them to them every 6 months and say, right, okay, what you need to do with these is you keep the ones you like, frame them if you want, or you can keep all of them if you want to. But the idea is that you write an intentional piece of work, of creative writing or whatever, or a letter of love that you're going to send to someone out of the blue, because it's so impactful, you know, to like receive something through the door, because you know the journey that it's gone through. They've had to like literally, no one writes with their pen anymore. Like, my handwriting's terrible, but like they have to like sit down, compose their best handwriting, think about what they want to write. They're going to have to lick it, stick it, find the address of that person, go and pay postage, go and line up in the queue to the post office to post it. And when that goes through the door, that subconsciously, like, people realize how the effort that has gone through. So it makes the words that they get way more powerful than a text or a phone call. You know, it's like, wow, this is like amazing. Like, those words can't be taken back because I've got them out in their own handwriting. And it's just, yeah, I thought that would just be a beautiful way to obviously to give back to my followers who are supporting me to do all these projects. And also on the back of the cards there's QR codes to my other stuff, and you know, it talks about me and so it helps bring other people in, because I've had people sign up from the back of receiving one of those cards, having that emotional moment, thinking, turning around, oh, who's this Graham guy? And then, do you know what, like, it's great that it's helped me become financially free ish but like still got a bit of a way to go. It's the best part of it is when I receive a text or an Instagram DM or Facebook message, and someone that I've never met before in my life in Canada has received one of my cards that's been sent all the way to Canada, or you know, and then it's impacted that person, and they send me a message, or they say, Graham, like, honestly, like, I just wanted to message you. It makes me well up thinking about this. I needed that in that moment. That touched me so much. I was going through such turmoil at that moment, but that card saved me. And it's like, wow, you know, like, a 2-second moment it can destroy someone, but it can also actually really, really, really change someone's life for the good. So yeah, that's how that's like kind of like my philosophy for the whole Karma Card project. It's just about being nice.
Oh, that's wicked. That's an amazing. I think I don't want to say story, but it's more like a purpose. It's actually it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was on your website actually. Is it grahamcullis.com?
Yeah,
And
that's right.
yeah, and I was going through and I was looking. I was like, oh, this is really it's really quite amazing. And I
It's
noticed
different.
them on your YouTube videos as well. Again, I'm YouTube generation, so forgive me.
Yeah, it's all good. Yep. Me too.
Oh, lovely.
John's
But
like, of
yeah,
course it's on in the background while we eat dinner. Why wouldn't it be?
but it's also like the Karma Card project is developed now as well. Like,
Mm.
because obviously I know you guys found me through. Was it your wife? Was it who found my
That's
content
it.
of the advert that I put out? Because what
That's
I've been doing, I suppose it'll lead nicely into segue. People say in podcasts, don't they? It's segue. This very
In the
nicely.
business.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. So I've been giving away my art for free, and I have to credit an artist called Lloyd Cohanon who's actually got this formula called the Artist Freedom Formula. I read his ebook and realized there's a way that you can actually promote yourself and give your art away for free at the same time as also, and kind of, you know, break even or make some money as well, which actually has been really nice. So yeah, I've been giving away my art for free, and I've been building my audience through that. So basically, I've got a selection of 5 prints. People, I'll make a Facebook ad, say, look, I'm a mental health advocate. I give away my art. I love the ocean. I love everything about the ocean. I love painting the ocean, and I feel the art benefits of it, the healing benefits of it. And I want you to have a piece of ocean calm in your living room. And then it goes onto the website, read about it here, and then they'll go on to it's a funnel site essentially. Like I'm not gonna, like, you know, there's no smokes and mirrors here. That is what it is. It's a funnel site. Everyone's seen them. You know, it's like there is a slight catch is that they have to pay the postage and packaging. But most people, when they get to that point, they're like, yeah, I understand. You can't, you know, do everything for free.
It seems fair, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they're still getting my art for free, which is what normally I'd sell for 20 quid on my website, but they just pay £3.90, which gives me a little bit of a profit margin. But the main thing is I get their email, and then they come into my community. They've trusted me with their card, and they've also bought some of my art, and they've got my art on their wall. And then that's the talking point. Who's this Graham Cullis person who's painted this lovely humpback whale on your wall? And then there's upgrade options, as a funnel does. You know, they can either get the upgrade to an A4 at a discount from my normal price on my website, or the full collection. But like what it's done is it's brought people into my world. I've got their email, and now I can market to them email without having to basically pray to the gods of the algorithms, you know, to make people see my content, which nowadays we are pretty much working for Instagram and Facebook. Like they won't show your content unless you cough up. But it means now I've got a captive audience, which I can then do my weekly newsletter to, and that's been really helpful. And then I've also got them into my Facebook group, which is a bit more personal. It's a private club, which people can join. And then it's a safe space. So it is private. So people want to share amongst themselves in the community and talk about their wins, talk about their losses, help people in the group. You know, it's a really nice little safe space. And it's also, you know, I'm kind of running it as an artist, and they're all there because of that funnel. So they're willing to support me every now and then when I release collections or if I release an original. But the main thing is that they're all together, and we're like a little club. And every time I have a mental health project, they'll rally together and help me push that content out. Or if each individually, if they have something that they want to share, or they're doing or raising, like there's a girl called Vicky at the moment who's raising money for a charity called Mind, and they're all
great people.
And I said, look, just chuck it on there, and we'll just help each other. And yeah, so I've now changed the Karma Card project to a Karma Club calendar. So basically it's called Karma Club Calendar because I want to promote the fact that this whole thing is a club and it's nice to be a part of it. But and also I wanted something to make people accountable, to send them out, because I was sending them every 6 months, and I wasn't sure if they were just going in people's drawers or they actually really were sending them out. So now I've made it into a calendar system where it's starts from, like I say, January. Everyone gets them in December once a year, 12 cards. And there's a little easel that my mum's made. At the moment, it's very handcrafted at the moment. It's lovely. And you get a little like cardboard easel. You display your 12 cards in the order of the month. And then at the end of the month, we all together in this club will say, right, let's do it. Let's write our letter of love to someone. And you know that there's going to be like 200 plus people that have got these packs around the world are going to send these ripples of love out at the same time. And then you get to enjoy the art for the month while you're thinking
it's
who
like
you're
a
going to
proper
bless.
pay it forward kind of vibe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
So
I love the fact that you're talking mechanically and practically, and I really appreciate that, because for folks that are listening who are thinking, I'd like to do something good, that gives them a path to follow, right?
Yeah,
really
exactly.
Nice. But you know what I really like is that I don't feel like they are an audience to you. I feel like they really are a community, and I really like the way that you address the group and think of the group that way, because that's what social media was supposed to be about, right?
Yeah, right.
Community.
Yeah, I actually saw something on Instagram the other day, and I think it was like a little reel. Someone says it's no social anymore. It's just products, and I'm like, you're true. That's totally right. Every 4 swipes, you get an advert. But yeah, I really wanted to like just bring it down to that, and that's like I said, that's my philosophy for every project I do. It's done based as a community, and it's it's really special.
Awesome. Yeah. And so, talking of community, you went the Bali orphanage visit.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yes. Could you give us a little insight into that?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit about Bali and what it's really like when you get there and you're not just on the beach with the tourists, because most people don't know what Bali's really like.
Yeah, I mean, like if you go inland into Bali, like you're going to see a different story to the edges where it's all gentrified and expensive. You're going to see like a lot more humble areas and villages where people smile, and you just get smile after smile after smile, and everything is very basic, and coconuts and just like local food. And yeah, I always tell people if they do come to Bali is just get away from the beach clubs for at least 2 or 3 days and go on an adventure, because you're going to meet some amazing people like that will touch your heart. Like this island, I think that's one of the reasons I come back so much, because I've just made so many amazing friends here, and like the Balinese culture is just beautiful and friendly and welcoming and inviting. And even when you get like these tourists that come over and just treat them like shit, they still smile. Like the ladies on the beach that are selling their orongs, you get these people with their cocktails just sort of like they've been inconvenienced, like, oh gosh, like that. And I'm like, just give them some flipping time, like they're working hard here. You are a guest in their environment. And yeah, so like I say, it depends what you're coming here for, really. Like, but yeah, you can have the best of both worlds. You can have all the lavish, nice stuff, but just remember where it all came from and be grateful for that. But I just love coming back here every time, and yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, I want to give back as much as possible and treat everyone with the same amount of respect. So doing projects like the orphanage project was something that lit me up. And took a lot of my time, a lot more of my time than I thought. I always thought I was going to be doing lots of painting, but then I ended up throwing myself into this community project. And so I basically went to the orphanage. I was going to do it the year before. I was going to do a project there, but it did for some reasons it didn't work out. So I always thought when I come back, I'm going to go, and I reconnected with them and said, right, I've got this crazy idea. Like I've done it before with Youth Art Connect, where basically I'll stand in the middle of the street with a megaphone and rally people to throw poster paint at me. And then we run splat art sessions. So I said, I'll do that with the kids, and I'll also get loads of arts and crafts. I'll get a sponsor for the materials, and I'll get a bunch of volunteers, and it's going to be an amazing day that we can give like 60 kids. And they're like, yeah, why not? And I said, also, we can raise some money, and I'll make a video, and we'll get a crowdfunding link, and yeah, it will be amazing. And then it was really nice, actually. I put the word out I didn't really advertise it too much. I just made it word of mouth. But so many people wanted to get involved and give their time up. And Indosol, which is this brand here, my friend Chris Pappas, I met him literally fleeting moment. I heard that he had a production company, and I just said, "Do you do charity gigs?" He goes, "Yeah, sometimes." I'm like, "Okay." And I told him my vision. He was like, "Deal," like that, and came along and got all of the ground footage. Obviously, I was vlogging, but he did all of the ground footage. I got loads of amazing content, photographs, and yeah. So we did a whole, basically rallied up loads of volunteers. Did a few volunteers meetings. I bought some food as well. That's all. That if you ever got a project and you want volunteers, buy the food, buy a buffet lunch, and then they're yours. Okay, like it's very important. I've never actually seen people in Bali turn up because there's a thing here in Bali called Bali time, where everyone's about half an hour late. When there's food involved, everyone's there is very punctual. But yeah, so yeah, I did a couple of meetings and then it was time to go. It was time to do it, and we had like 2 big rolls of paper of like drawing, clay making, we had bead making. We had a yoga instructor come in and do a class with us, and we had a violin player, and yeah, it was just such a really nice, wholesome day, and the volunteers were absolutely loving it, you know, and it raised awareness for people to want to do their own projects. You know, that was one of the main things, was to raise money, but also to get the profile up on the island of the orphanage to get more people to do things. And yeah, and then the big crescendo happened. I got my pink megaphone out. I gave 60 kids a ketchup bottle full of poster paint each, stood in the middle, and then shouted backwards 10 in Indonesian, and then let them just let loose with paint all over me. And it was a great visual. And one kid, you'll see in the video, he actually does it early and gets it right in my eye, because I wanted to do 2 countdowns so I could get 2 angles. But he was obviously very impatient on the second countdown, and I was like, okay. It burned so much. Really hurt.
Scream. You're like, it burned.
It burned, and I was being honest, because it did burn.
What an amazing thing!
I didn't get to 1. Oh, it was hilarious.
And what did it mean to the kids?
Oh, everything, you know, like you could tell that they were buzzing. They came in, they sang a couple of songs to us, because that's what they like to do when visitors come in, and we didn't know they were going to do that. But then as soon as I was like, right, okay, you ready? Let's go play. They just ran, got stuck in, and you just see them interacting with all of the volunteers. Just like, it's just a really magical experience. And you know, like it was beautiful. But for the best part of the whole thing for me, though, like, because I've make these YouTube videos, chuck them out there, they might get a few views. I don't really like pander to the algorithm, so I'm not like a big YouTube star or anything. I'll probably get a few hundred views on each one, and unless I put some money into it, which I'm not gonna. And things that go viral these days are just complete nonsense, and I can't be asked to put the energy in to become a YouTube star and make that kind of crap content. I make stuff that I feel is beautiful. So it's a shame sometimes you put all that energy into a video edit, because after that, the video edit took me a long time. I mean, I feel like it's one of my best pieces of work so far. I always feel like that when I do a new YouTube video. I feel like I'm always improving. But and I really enjoyed that one. And I was like, put it out there, not that many views. I mean, I am going to repurpose it and publish it again this year, because I wanted to get it across Facebook, because I think it'll do a lot better. But yeah, it didn't do that well. But I didn't care, because I had a premiere event, which was the best. I got all the volunteers to come, my friends who saw like me like doing all the content, so I was obviously like putting it up on Instagram as well, and there were a lot of people going, wow, what are you doing, like that, and then they wanted to get involved. My friend said, okay, I'll bring a popcorn machine, and he brought a popcorn machine, and they said, okay, and this one goes, I'll bring a load of ice creams, and I'll bring and then we had like,
you've got some awesome friends.
Yeah, loads of people just came along, and and then like this one girl did a breathwork session, and we had a guitarist come in. It was almost like a little mini festival, like a film festival. I set up a big projector screen. We got some amazing Bose speakers, luckily at the last second, because the orphanage's sound system sucked, and it was like one of those like nail biting moments. Are we gonna have sound? But yeah, and then all the kids sat on the floor, 60 of them, and then as the volunteers came in, like I was like introducing each person that came into this like 60 kids, and that like you see their face. I'm like, right, and here is James, and, like, say hello, James, and all the kids are like, hello, like that, and it was just really nice. And then we played the video, and it was just. I remember that moment. I put it on. We turned the lights out, and I was just watching everyone sort of captivated. And like, I thought, this is what it must feel like, you know, when you're like at a red carpet event and you're playing. I've never done this before, you know, played to an audience of people, and then like the credits rolled and everyone like clapped, and it's like, oh, that was like, do you know what? That was like, it was like 3 days before I left to come back home as well, and it was just like the icing on the cake for me. Yeah, I didn't do much painting that time in Bali, but like. That's what that time in Bali was all about for me at that point. And yeah, it was really, really nice, heartwarming.
An awesome story. I had just hearing you talk takes me back to my time in Melbourne, and I had a fundraising label called Missing Cat, because we wanted to have a party, and because we were young, and I was like, but it needs a thing, it needs something to. I wouldn't go to a party unless there was a thing, and then I was doing the laundry at like 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, as you do as a young man, and regretting my life choices of the weekend. Didn't do the admin, and there was a sign on the wall that said "Missing Dog," and I was like, missing cat. And so that's where it all started. Missing cat Fluffy, and you know, likes to dress up, and then I thought, that's cool, but you know, you only want to have so many parties, right? And then you want to do something good, and started getting into fundraising, and when you start just hearing you talk, it just flows, doesn't it? Like it just, like, you know, I had an idea that I'd like to put on just a little viewing of some documentary that mattered, and then a friend back in New Zealand, Brian March, put on this amazing documentary called There Once Was an Island, and we'll put a link into the notes. And basically it's a story of climate change, but actually happening to an island that's actually going underwater in Micronesia. And
oh wow!
And we just got some people into a pub about sort of 10 or 11 years ago, and just the mood in the room is exactly what you've just described, you know. And I had nothing to do with putting the video together, right? The documentary and the work that they did was amazing. But just having people in the room, just watching this, it just felt like good things are possible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And yeah, it totally is. And like you said, I say about there's a flow to when you have an idea. Like, and that's what sort of holds people back, is that they don't take the first step. You just got to do it, you know, just take that first thing. I've got an idea. Okay, right. Let's just at least make the campaign on the crowdfunder. Let's do it now. Just do it now. Take action. And then the next thing. And another thing, advice I would give some people that want to do something like we've done, is to involve the volunteers as much as possible and keep them updated. WhatsApp is amazing for that. Like having your WhatsApp groups. No one likes a pocket pinger as well. So what I say is make a WhatsApp group that only you are in charge of, that no one else can message on, and then open it up and say, if you've got any ideas, message me privately. And I was just getting so many golden nuggets from everyone without them, you know, interrupting each other and whatever. I just put the bits they needed to know, but then people would give me loads of ideas, and then I can reach out to them, and it's just, it flows when you get it going nicely. So I went on a tangent then, didn't I? I don't know where I was going.
That's a really top tip. I never would have thought of doing that, because it feels like you're kind of locking it down unnecessarily, but I can see that you're locking it down unnecessarily.
You knock it down necessarily. Yeah, like it's like when I think I joined a WhatsApp group once that had where you couldn't message, and it was just literally information. And I thought, that's a great idea. You know, it's not, and you make sure when you put like a description, you say, hey, look, this is a group for the volunteers. Only I can message on it. it's just to stop us, getting pissed off with too much talk. Any like conversations you want outside of this, message me or each other, and it worked really well,
Yeah. I think it's a good way of moderating like the content as well, because otherwise you're going to start getting memes and all sorts of random videos sent in as well. But yeah, and one thing that I discovered on WhatsApp, that you could follow like companies and news and stuff. Like they have the same idea where it's really just updates. You search for it. I didn't know they existed. I felt like an old man. I was like, what is this?
like a broadcast channel they have on Instagram now.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You were talking about sort of taking action and doing now, and earlier you mentioned about the kind of the relative financial freedom that you said that everything gives you. So what advice would you have on somebody that's how would you advise somebody, okay, they have an idea, they want to take action, and what would be your kind of best advice to kind of either, doing your own project or becoming financially, I guess, free from a sort of 9 to 5?
Wow.
I know it's a big one, right?
You've been warming that one up, haven't you, Jon?
Well, do you know what? Like that, the thing is that it doesn't happen unless you take action and unless you ask as well. Like, don't be scared to ask, because like the amount of times when I was like trying to grow my Patreon and I would be hounding people. It became a sales process in its own right. I was in sales before, so I had a good idea on how to do that and how to ask people to support me. But basically just keep an eye. What I'd say is like, start doing your stuff, even though you're going to have to be, because at first I was working 9 to 5. Like when I first discovered I could paint, I came back home, obviously sabbatical finished, and I was working 9 to 5 for my company. And then I put the hours in. I was then going to visit someone that I wanted to interview for my YouTube. I would do the interview. And then on the weekends, I'll be editing it all. And after the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, I was painting from 5 till midnight every night and then creating content. So I was burning myself out. But at the whole time, I was building up to, talking about my Patreon. And then I had the Karma Cards idea. And then I was telling people about it. And then on my birthday, actually, it's always good to do things on your birthday as well when you're going to ask. On my birthday, I was like, right, it's my birthday, and all I want is some Patreon subscribers. Boom, like that. And because it was a pandemic, people were like paying a lot more attention to what I was doing. They were like, I'm loving what you're doing. And of course, like £5 came in from someone, then £10 a month, then £15. I even had one guy from America that did me $50 a month. But like, you just need to start doing your thing first, because I suppose what I was going to lead into is what I do is I create content and I keep an eye on who has engaged with it. And then I'll go in for the kill. As you'd say, like, I'd say, I've seen that you've liked a few of my things. I was wondering if you read the caption about the Patreon bit. I was like, and then I'll just be totally like, just upfront and say, look, would you like to join? You have to stay on forever. It'll just really help me. And
take a leaf out of the book of those cheeky Balinese monkeys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just keep, and then people come, people go, and I remember like when people joined and then people would leave, it would. My feelings would be a little bit dashed when they unsubscribed. Like that. But then actually, I don't anymore. Like I don't worry about that now, because people come for a time and then people leave. You just need to keep on top of it. So I would say like my best advice is just to actually start doing it. I mean, I know it's so cliche. It's so cliche, but if you've got an idea, it doesn't happen unless you start doing it. And it's gonna take work. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take hours. Because I've had people criticize what I do before, and you're going to have that as well. You're going to have people criticize you
out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also they don't see what goes on behind the scenes. They think that you're just a wannabe influencer that's all you want is a company to sponsor you and give you products, and you don't have to do anything anymore. And I'm like, I don't think you understand what goes into this. Like, ask any YouTube star, you know, like, right at the beginning of the journey, they were, they're hours and hours of like behind the scenes stuff. I mean, like, I could just work on paintings and push that out, but like a painting for me takes a month to make a painting because of all the other things that I'm doing, like, and managing. But yeah, like, it's yeah. I'd say financial freedom very lightly.
At the same time, every little bit helps. And what would you say to? So my wife's recently just started a teaching art to adults class called Art with Art, and we were talking about it in the green room, and so proud of her. She's doing so well. But something that she struggled with, and that artist friends have struggled with, is that they don't value their time. And I'll give you an example. So there might be a workshop, and an artist might charge something like 10 or 12 quid for it. A yoga workshop of the same amount of time with no art materials and really just a yoga teacher doing their thing would be 30 to 40 quid. And so what would you say to creative, beautiful souls who want to express their art and share it with people but don't yet value it?
It's a hard one because people can't see what goes into a painting, and there's a lot of people out there that undersell themselves and spend hours on the easel and then sell their work for, like, I don't know, like a very unsustainable amount. If you think about how long it took you to make that painting, I charge what you just basically just charge what you feel you deserve, I guess. And people will either say yes or no. And there's going to be all you got to remember is a lot of people out there that will say yes. And there's a lot of people out, and like, what's that song? Is it cost that much because it took me hours? You heard that song? It was like went on viral. Oh, you got to listen to it. I'll try and find it afterwards, and you can put it in the link in the notes. But it's a great song to listen to. It became like a famous on Instagram for reels for a while. But yeah, this is so true. You know, it's. What I used to do, actually, I used to have this whole spiel before someone wanted to commission me, and I would explain to people, I'd send them a thing. Okay, right, I'm going to send you the prices, but first read this. And I'll explain exactly what goes into the painting. And you're not just painting even only for the time and hours it takes. You're painting for the time and hours I've taken to practice. Well, I can't really say that because I only literally mastered my craft in 3 years. But, you know, like...
3 years is 3 years, though.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah. The thing is, I've raised my prices now because of 3 years. No, but yeah, like, it's you're not paying just for what the time it took you to do that, or just materials or the loan or whatever. You know, you're also paying for that person. Or is it that famous story about Picasso when a lady asked him to draw a picture on a tissue, and then he gave her the tissue and then said, okay, that would be, and gave her a ridiculous sum of money that she had to pay. And she's like, what? That took you like 10 seconds to do? He goes, yeah, but it also took me a lifetime to master. And, you know, like, it's, and you just need to educate your audience, or just find audiences that understand that
fair play.
It costs what it costs.
Thank you. And we've just had the 5-minute warning. John's got to be a dad, and so before we go, we wanted to talk about mental health, right, Jon?
Yeah, I think that's something that's really important. I think we raised it and touched on it a bit earlier, just in the sense of me and my personal story of my dad. But yeah, if you could just sort of go into, like, just, I know you mentioned the pandemic and just what the effect it had on your mental health, and how the sort of cold therapy has kind of helped a lot of the people in your clubs as well.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, like a lot of people went through a lot of crap in the pandemic. For me personally, it was like my job became very stressful, and this dream that I had of becoming remote working out in Bali. And I didn't foresee, it wasn't even just a pandemic, to be honest. It was I was working UK times in Bali, which is opposite. And so I felt very isolated and disconnected. So that was kind of like what sort of brought me to a crisis point. I had a couple other things which I won't mention that were just like going through my mind, but like they didn't help. And I just felt like the art was just doing something creative. Like when you are going through a tough time, it doesn't have to be creative. It could be something else, like cold water therapy. Like when you've got something else, another activity you can do that can make you present and take you, just take your mind away from what you're feeling. Because at that moment, I could have either just sat in my room, waited there because I couldn't get out of the country at that point because we were waiting for flights all to be sorted out, and I knew I needed to come home. So I was so lucky to have the easel there, because otherwise I started to recluse from my friends. I didn't really leave the house much. I stopped surfing, which was bonkers, but it wasn't serving me at that point. I mean, sometimes surfing is good for other people, doing that kind of activity, but I just was reclusing myself. But then when I sat behind that easel, 4 hours had passed in half an hour, and I was listening to music, and I was thinking about what I wanted to achieve in my life, and I was sort of taking things away piece by piece about my life, what I wanted to change. So it made me very contemplative, and I made a lot of good decisions in that time. And having cold water therapy and other holistic therapies, like going to yoga or meditation, especially maybe not meditation, but going to the group exercise and doing cold water therapy, you also have a community around you. Now, that's another thing that I realized that was damaging me when I was going through that dark time, is that I isolated myself. But I had these, what I call angels, Michelle and Sean, who basically I painted them a picture called Angels. It's on one of my YouTube videos. But they didn't realize how much they were helping me by just being there and offering me to go on adventures with them. Like I didn't want to see anyone, but they kept kind of I think they knew something was up, and they just kept knocking on my door and asking me to come. They kept inviting me, and I'd go out and so I think having a community around you, and exactly, and having your angels close by, it's good to isolate yourself sometimes, but just know that you've got people there is really helpful as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think, Ollie, it is time for that one big question. So we ask all of our guests. It used to be a quick fire round, but now I think the one big question, because that's the one that kind of stumps everybody. All right. So this is, I guess, the big. We should have some music for this section, but hey, the question is, what is the one thing you would like to change in the world?
Do you know what? I did look at that, and I've got. Do you listen to Darius CEO podcast?
Oh yeah, on and off though, but yeah.
I got the conversation. I got the conversation cards. I got both of them. I get sold to so easily. I got both. But one of them was what law would you change, or what would you make had to be law in the world? And I was trying to think all deep and something that would help marginalized people, and then I realized I was in England and I was missing my bidet, my bum gun they called. So I was like, right, I'm gonna make it a legal thing that every toilet has to be fitted with a bum gun. I'm sorry. I've gone there. I know it's
No, I think you know what, you'll probably save a lot of money in the NHS.
Yeah, I know. And then during the pandemic, I was thinking of starting a business because you don't need toilet paper with that. Sorry, listeners.
No, you don't need to be sorry for that, right?
No, you
thing
don't.
That you learn when you come to Europe is that when you go to France, there will be a bidet, and you might laugh and giggle about it. But then one day you'll try it, and you'll be like, "This is actually quite a good idea."
Yeah,
Wash yourself.
It's delightful. I mean, like someone said it to me perfectly. It's like, if you got dog shit on your face, would you wipe it off with a tissue or would you wash it off?
Logic works.
But okay, in seriously though, like I think something that I would like to see, and it may be already happening, but I've been like, it goes back to the mental health as well. Like another thing that's really, really good for you to do is share. And I've been going to men's circles the last year. One in Eastbourne called Mankind. Shout out to them. Check them out. They go every Wednesday. You can check them out online. So Mankind in Eastbourne. And there's one that I go to here, which is a circle we meet every 2 weeks.
What is a men's circle for folks who don't know?
Yeah, so a men's circle, literally, like you can have a men's circle, women's circle, you can have mixed, but it's basically a safe space where you come in and you don't offer any advice to help people. You literally just share. There might be a theme, and then if you do want to be helped, you can say in that moment, please, I would love to have people's ideas, but and it's just you sit in a circle, there'll be a theme, and then you just talk about your week and you just get stuff off your chest. And one thing is, it's really cathartic to do that and speak out loud how you're thinking, and then you realize that there's other people going through this shit as well. And also, like, it's a really good way to like figure out your hopes and dreams that you want to achieve, because you've got all this network of amazing people around you, and that might help you with that idea that you've just shared about. So one thing I would love to be able to see implemented, it might already be happening, I'm not sure, but I thought about this the other day, is I'd love to see this happening in schools, where like it's kind of introduced, maybe moderated at first, but then self-led by the children, where obviously you might need an adult close by if anything kicks off in the circle, but just you sort of like, I would love to see like that kind of sharing circle introduced, where it's peer led, and they're taught how to share amongst you, because then you're gonna have bullies in that circle that are with some amazing people, then confronting their demons with each other. And I just think it would be a really good thing that could change, is to introduce, because I wish I'd found my men's circle earlier, because I've benefited so much from it. But yeah, I think doing like teen-led sharing circles, I think in schools, or even younger, just start the conversation of sharing and opening up, because that's one of the most important things, I think, therapeutically.
And that, my friend, is a quotable quote.
There we go.
Well said.
Fantastic. So how can people get in touch with you?
So all of the socials, my name, a personal brand, I think, as I would say, Graham Cullis, or you got the Karma Club. So yeah, just any of the social medias, Graham Cullis, you can find me there. I mean, I loosely am on TikTok. I occasionally use it, but mostly Instagram or Facebook. And my email as well, Graham Cullis, hello@grahamcullis.com, if you want to get in touch. And also I have a weekly newsletter, which I send out every Tuesday, but I guess I can give you the link. You can stick it in the notes. I'd love for you to join the newsletter, because you're going to find out all about the projects. And if you want to get involved with what stuff that I'm doing, or, find out about my art and when I'm doing exhibitions, etc. And it's my personal journal. So when you come into this weekly newsletter, I talk about what I've learned that week, and it seems to be helping people, which is really nice. And it helps me write and journal about it. Like, it sort of forces me to think about my week, and sometimes it ain't pretty, and I think that's the ones that get the most opens. I did one last week called I Had a Brush with My Dark Side, and it had, I think it had the biggest open percentage I've had yet.
I mean, it kind of seems like a natural reaction to a world that's been showing its best side on Facebook for how many years now? 20 years, and for people to start being honest.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like social media, people are just showing the worst side of things. But I know you got to go. But it's one thing I'd love to like tell people what I'm up to in Bali right now is that I'm doing something on the similar lines of the Karma Card project. But I've printed off a load of prints and I've put them in cellophane packets with just 2 prints with a little. This is another way you can get your name out there as well. It's a little marketing tip. I've got a card that explains what I want them to do with a QR code on the one side. So I slip it into the back, and then I'll write, and it says basically, "Hi, I'm Graham, blah, 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 blah. Please share this, join my Instagram and share your story. Give one of the prints away to a friend and write some words of love on it. And maybe come to my exhibition. I'm so happy you found these prints." But on the other side, I'll write, "You deserve to find these. I'm so happy that you found these." And I'll just leave them in cafes. Or I've wrote, "I'm sorry that you're stuck in traffic right now, but hopefully this will make you smile." And as I drive past on my scooter, I'll just give it to the person who sat on the back of a scooter. And they're like, "What?" Like that. And then and now they're sharing it to their stories. And today, like it kicked off because like people were starting to know me around, starting to know about this. Because I did a reel that got a lot of traction where I gave one to one of the sarong sellers on the beach. I gave her a pack of cards and I've been leaving them in. Yeah, beautiful. And I've been leaving them in cafes. And there's one cafe I've left them on the washroom on the tap, so they have to take it off. And I got my first collaboration today. They said, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We would love to meet you tomorrow, and we're actually going to be sending gift cards for Valentine's Day to our customers in our 3 different cafe locations, and we would love to use your artwork and put your name on the back of them." And I'm like, "And we'll give you a month of coffee for free as well." Yes. So do you know what I mean? Like you do something for the love of it and it will come back, you know.
Word.
Awesome.
Thank you, Graham. It's been great having you on the show. And you know what that means, Jon?
Yeah. Ooh.
There
you go. That's the end of the song. Cool. We'll fix it in post. Yeah. No. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool.
Love it.
I've got real strong associations with that song now. Graham, thank you for being on the show.
No worries.
Great to have you here, and please subscribe to what Graham's doing. If nothing else, put it on your feed and share it with people.
Yeah,
it's good stuff and it's helping people.
That's one thing I'd love for you to do is just like find my art or whatever and just share stuff and tag me in, and I'll repost it because I love seeing what people are up to, and just message me. I'm at a point where I can message everyone back.
Awesome,
really cool.
Awesome.
Right.
All right.
Well, it's good to be back, Jon.
It is. It was actually. I love
those
this
kids
episode.
after school.
What? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Each other.
Crikey.
Yeah. Oh wait, one more plug. If you want a free print, go to the links in this show notes, grahamcullisart.com, and you can have a free print. There we go. I didn't say the URL before, did I?
That's the one thing.
Right, that's good. We'll put all of them in the show notes as well. So they're going to be awesome. All right.
And thanks for enabling us to do what we do, Graham. Have a good one.
Yes. Nice one. Epic.
Peace.